What's going on, everybody? There was a question that I seen online that I kind of wanted to answer. So the question was, what they say? They said, if Jesus is God, how did he die? Or why did God send his son to get killed? And that's a very genuine question, but there's a simple answer to that. And I want to start off with John chapter 10, verses 17 and 18. Therefore doeth my Father love me, because I lay down my life, that I might take it again. No man take it from me, but I lay it down myself. I have the power to lay it down, and I have the power to take it again. This commandment have I received from my Father. That's saying I'm laying down my life. No man can take it from me. I gave it up. I am a sacrifice, is what God is saying. And another thing to speak on why he sent Jesus, or who Jesus is, I should say, in Philippians chapter 2, verse 6, who being in the form of God thought it not robbery to be equal with God. And it's talking about Jesus Christ. So with that being said, actually we could read another verse out of there. But made himself of no reputation, and took upon him the form of a servant, and was made in the likeness of men. And being found in the fashion of a man, he humbled himself and became obedient unto death, even yeah, even unto the death of the cross. Now, with that being said, it's saying that him and God are equal. So you cannot separate the two. He is not something outside of the Father. He is in the Father. The same spirit, just a different form. So when you say, why did he send his son to die? You got to realize that he didn't send anybody outside of him. So he humbled himself and became a servant for us. He wanted to make another way for us to become clean in the eyes of him. He wanted to make a new way by sending Jesus. Jesus is God, and we have to realize that. And oftentimes we say, how can you kill God? And like I read the first time in John verses 17 and 18, he laid his own life down. He gave it up as a humble servant. He came down here to do the Father's will. If he came down here just thinking all like how we think, like, oh man, what if I just erase sin and everything just be much easier? He came down here to show us that you can overcome it. There's no temptation that can take us up, that can take over our lives. He came down here to show us how to walk and how to be an example. But we don't want to be like Jesus for real. We just want the easy way out. We just want the free go to heaven card. And we can't get that. We can't. If you're alive and well and you have the access to give your life to God, you have the access to do things for God. You're not paralyzed in the bed. You're not none of those things. If you can move your body, move your tongue, move and talk, walk around and all those other things, you have been, in the eyes of God, fully accountable of every action that you make. And you can walk just like Jesus. But the thing is, it takes time. Even Jesus had to take his own time to realize how to walk in his own anointing. He had to realize how to be one with God. Now, he didn't come here with a sinful mind, but he still had to learn. It says he came down as a humble servant. If God can be humble for us, why can't we be humble for him? Why is it that when something is made up in our mind, that we just automatically call anything that is holy, anything that's of God, wrong because we don't know how to get there? When Jesus came here to show us the way, he came here because he is the way, the truth, and the life. That's what he said he is. He gave his life, rose up on the third day because death couldn't hold him. He came here to do that and to take the keys from hell, to show us that there is nothing that can hold God back. But we often sit there and still think with a carnal mind like, oh, that's selfish for him to send another man. He didn't send another man. He sent himself. And we have to realize that, and we have to appreciate that. Like I said before, if God can humble himself to do something for us, why can't we humble ourselves to do something for him? When we claim to give him our life, a lot of time our lives resemble nothing like Jesus. We don't take the extra time to learn who he is. We don't take the extra time to really figure out how to move in our anointing, how to walk with God, look like him, how to help others, how to really become a new person. God says we need to put away the old to put on the new man or woman. What, you know what I'm saying? But often we get caught up in real genuine questions, right? Like I said before in the beginning of this video, like why would he send another person? But we don't take the time to actually look for an answer. We just say, oh, well, God's selfish. I'm not going to serve that God. There's answers if you look for them. That's all you have to do. You have to be willing to hear back from God. You have to be willing to seek it out. If you ask him, you'll receive it. If you seek, you'll find. Draw near to him, he'll draw near to you. You know what I'm saying? And this isn't to put down anybody if they have that question, if they had that question. I'm quite sure I had that question at one point in time. This is really the lack of knowledge is what causes us to not go and follow with God because we don't understand it. But there's nothing wrong with not understanding something. What's wrong is when you don't even try to understand it. When you just say, well, my way is better. I don't know what they're talking about, and I don't want to believe what they're talking about. That's when you got an issue. That's when you believe that you have a way to heaven. That's when you believe that there is no eternal damnation, that no matter what you do, you can justify it. There's a person you have to answer to, and that person made a way for you. So when you do pass, heaven or hell, you have no excuse to what's going to happen next. You have no excuse. If you go to heaven, you lived for it, or you repented. You did what you did. You repented and you accepted the salvation, the free gift. You accepted it. If you go to hell, that's because you lived a godless life. You cannot be in heaven where God is if you don't want to be next to God. If you don't want to be holy, why would you be in a holy place? You have to look like Jesus to come in. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of times we got to take it day by day, step by step, and really just trust God on the journey. And trusting God, you will get tested. Now, certain things will come in your life and it will really make you wonder, do I really trust God? I know he said this, but it's not looking like this right now. When Jesus died on the cross, I know that he warned the disciples, and the disciples seeing him die, they thought they was next. They thought they was going to die next. They thought, how can he die? Like, that was our everything. How can he die? But he told them he was going to pass away and he was going to come back on the third day. But that's what I mean by getting tried. We're going to get tried and tested how much we really trust God, how much we really believe in him. And like I said earlier, I'm going to just end it with the same thing I already said. If God can humble himself for us, what's stopping you from humbling yourself for him?